Right, hi guys, welcome here, John, Mr. Forex Fire. So we've reset our zones, we've incorporated the whole list into 4-hour zones, and we've made our supply and demand areas. And these videos, what I do on a week-to-week basis, are simplified into where is the liquidity, okay? And we've sort of trapped the supply and the demand, okay? The supply and then the demand on the top. So let's just take a look. Just going to share the screen. We've got 26 pairs. I'm going to try and make these pretty quick, to be fair, and sort of talk about where liquidity is. So again, from the bottom to the top where we've sort of trapped this in, and we're looking at the inside leg between, see, the bottom up to this, where the range is, where the liquidity is as it went to the top and it started to come down, okay? So we'll run through a few of these. So grab a pen and a bit of paper, because I do think this will be beneficial to some of you, to be fair, so you can sort of learn a few things. Some of you might already know most of this stuff, but there's no harm in getting a pen and a bit of paper. So what we can see to the left, we have been more or less liquidity on the bottom here, okay? If we stretch this right out, we have swept the bottom end, okay? So we've took out from a ranging aspect within the low to the high, we've actually swept down here. So there's a draw liquidity up to the upper end. We've got an order block inside of here, which we could test and then continue down if that's what it wants to do. But if we come out of this and go a little bit deeper and look at what is residing here, okay, we can see across here we've actually swept above here as well. Okay, so we've done a sweep above here and we've done a sweep on here as well, okay? So we could be getting ready to sort of consolidate a bit more within this range, but as we look from where the high is down to this low, there is no real sort of, on at least the 4-hour anyway, there is no real price inefficiency on a 4-hour aspect. It doesn't mean to say when you go down to the 1 hour, 15 minutes and 5 minute that you will see fair value gaps, which you will probably will do, to be fair, because what we do on a 4-hour aspect, we wait for these higher time frame supply and demand zones or 4-hour bear and bull zones to get triggered, and then we go from 4-hour to 1 hour, 15 minute and then a 5 minute entry. So on the lower time frames, there may be liquidity caught inside of here. So at the minute, based upon 4-hour, and that's all I'm looking at, we are stuck within a range within this coming down where it's swept through the treble or quadruple bottoms, okay? This could very well come back up and test up into this, maybe mess around, sweep again and then come down further. Or it may want to, in fact, mess around up here, come into a fair value, then tap this and then want to come down, okay? We just do not know. We just need to understand whereabouts the liquidity is at this moment in time. And like I say, at this moment, I would say it's here and more certainly here, stuck within this tiny bit range at this moment, okay? So that's the odd card. I'm just going to get rid of some of this because I don't want to mess up the zones. We're going to look at the odd Swiss franc. Okay, so we've got the low, okay, and we've got the high. Okay, so we've basically got the range down to here. And we look to the left-hand side on this one. You've got liquidity, which is here, which is why at the minute I've spaced this up above here. But if we pull this down, we can see we are actually sort of trending down. Lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. As we've made those lower lows, we've also made a liquidity bottom here, okay? Now, inside of where we are at the moment, we can see candle to the left, candle to the right. This was basically fair value. We've actually mitigated through that. We've pushed a little bit above it, okay? So as you can see here, this wick to this wick here, we are starting to push into the order block right here. Okay, so again, just make that different color for now. You can see we're starting to tap into the order block. So because we're ultimately being on this uptrend up here, okay, we then came down and broke through that low, okay, to then make lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. Now it's made a higher high from that aspect, okay. It's actually took the liquidity from there. So as you take liquidity, you've got to create it. Take the liquidity, got to create it. Take the liquidity up to here, you've got to create it. And as it's pulled back down into here, you can see it's actually swept through here and sort of come and tapped back partially into this little bit of supply area down here, or demand, I should say. Okay, so price inefficiency at the minute, we've actually come and filled fair value here, wick to the wick. This is fair value. We've come and tapped through that and wicked up through the top. So I do believe that we may tap maybe into 50% of this area, and then we may come back down into this to then push up. Okay, like I said, when you look at this overall, you've got highs, lows, lower highs. This is going to try and push down. It's stuck between a rock and a hard place at the minute with this low to this high. So when you look at the bigger picture, okay, you've got highs, lows, lower highs. It's a lower high because this is not wicked above that, okay? And then it started to sort of disappear, coming down to the lower end. It's stuck between 1 and 2, which is the low, the high. So we're within this range, but within this range, we are creating an inside supply and demand, okay? So that's one way of looking at that there. We'll have a look at the order ends at D. Again, we'll be very much on an uptrend from here. Let's get this damn thing on. There we are. Low to high, okay? I've picked this area because at the moment, if we just scope there to here, okay, we didn't quite come down to tap through this bit. So looking at this, we do have fair value between that wick. There was fair value hidden here, okay? It's come and tapped a little bit into it, so we've come down to that wick there. So there's fair value underneath the sell side here, okay? We've been pushing pretty high because we've broken above here. And remember what I said, when you take liquidity, you've got to create. Take liquidity, got to create some higher highs, higher lows on the way up to the tippy top. We look to where it started to descend, okay? So we've got more or less equal lows here. We've broke through that. There's no inefficiency here, but it has came down to tap into this bit here. When we've been pulling back up, we can see inside of here, we've got fair value there. It's tapped and it's swept it, okay? And we've got a little bit of an irregular candle structure here, okay? You can see here, this was produced at 10 o'clock on the 18th Tuesday. So again, this would have been when there was crossover on swaps, a little bit of an inefficiency on here. So we could be coming in to test into this. Overall, you can see the bigger picture, okay? Higher highs, higher lows. We consolidated along here for a while, and then we've tried to do another drive. So as we've tried to do another drive up to the buy side, we're sort of stuck between the in between range of where I framed up. So I do think we could possibly come down, maybe tap into this area first, and then we may want to try and push higher, maybe even sweep this, and then it might want to start come crashing down because there's very, very big momentum to the upside here of nearly 700 and odd pips. So what goes up must come down eventually. Okay, so again, just see if I can get rid of these without spoiling what we have at the moment. There we are. So back to the frame. Old USD. Again, looking at the range, if we scroll out, we can see we've been pretty much consolidating for quite some time. Okay, we do have uh, a little bit of a funky bear zone at the moment, but I do think we are intentionally going to be coming along this here. And I think we're going to sweep down through here and test this before we come back up. Because even this high down and coming down, this was in September, okay? So price at the moment is just been making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. It has tried to come back up to this area. It swept a little bit, but it didn't quite sort of meet the highs of this here. So then the range low to the range high, it sort of came back down to test maybe back into some form of order block down in here. And then it's come back up and it's failed to take that high again. So we're pretty much bearish on this bit for me, to be fair. So we look at where we are from this low to this high at the minute and look at any inefficiency, we can see this here to that there, there's fair value hidden right there. So we could be tapping up into this. We've got more or less equal highs along here. There's an order block inside of the bear zone I've got up here, which is why I went with it. If we push higher above this, then I think we'll start going for here. But I do think we're going to be intentionally messing around this area for a bit and then come down and then come back up. Because again, overall, we've been in this downtrend. We've swept out of that downtrend and sort of came, you can never get these icons going. We've come across here, we've tried to push higher. And again, if we look over to this left here, okay, we've tapped into this bit here. Okay, so sometimes scrolling out of the picture will give you a better idea of where you're at. So I do think we'll come down and maybe touch into this to go back into this bear zone up above. So that is the odd USD. Just see if I can come out of this without interrupting. There we are. Great British Pound, Swiss franc, again, downtrend. We can immediately see that. Massive push to the downside. We look inside of the high to the low, okay? We can see inside of the frame we've got liquidity here. We can see we've got fair value right there. It's swept up into that. So this is telling me we could get maybe between the zones, we've got liquidity here. And as you've made higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, you've got little steps of liquidity underneath each area. But inside of that as well, again, we're looking for fair value. You've got some right there. Okay. So because we swept here now, there's every reason for us to possibly come down into this area and then maybe come up and come down. Or we could come down into here, have a little bit mess around, go consolidating fears, tap, and then push up for a big push to the upside because we're being very, very bearish. Ever since we go back, oof, we've been betting. I mean, you've got consolidation up here, okay? But since April of 2025 this year, we've been very, very bearish to the downside. So like I said, what goes down has to come up as well, okay? So that's what I'm looking at on that bit there. Go to the CAD JPY. We can see at this time, consolidated, we've pushed above the highs here, okay, and then we went higher, 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 low, higher, 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 low. So we're very much bullish at this time. So I think this is the peak of where we are, to be fair. When we look inside of the trap that we have set, we do have fair value as we look at this as well. We have actually mitigated in that. We've swept. We've come back up. We've also got fair value right here. And again, I'm not going into 1 hour, 15-minute and 5-minute. You can sort of do that on your own accord. I'm just looking at this from a 4-hour aspect because we're not getting into anything until we get one of these bear or bull zones tapped, you know. We've got a little bit of a order block here as well, residing just above the final bit. The reason I've chose this is because we do have an ultimate low down here at the minute, so we could get stuck between either or at the minute. Okay, at this moment we've been on a big push drive and then a bullish run after this consolidation, so I do think we'll be consolidating for a bit through the week, maybe tap into this, and then maybe we can get pushed down, and then we might get a fake out and come back down to the lower side to then start attacking these areas, with also where we've got fair value as well to the downside as well. So there's a nice big draw to liquidity to the downside after we've had a bit of a bull run here to come back down into a consolidated area here. So I do think we'll tippy top into here and then maybe push down. Okay, so again, we'll just come out of this. Chef JPY. Now this is interesting. So what you've got here, top to bottom, you've got fair value. You've got fair value. We're heading down into this. So there's a lot of drawn liquidity at the minute to the downside. But as it's pushed, and it's come through this, okay, and more so it's pushed through that bit there, okay. The push that it's doing, it's leaving behind big gaps of liquidity as well. So again, as much as it's leaving behind, it's going to mess around. I don't think we'll come up into here. We might mess around on this downside, and I think we'll come back down into these areas, to be fair. Overall, the bigger picture, we've got to remember we have a huge gap right here as well. Okay, so there's a huge draw on the liquidity to the sell side, to be fair. Again, you've got the liquidity residing underneath this area here. And not only that, you've got fair value to the left-hand side. Also, if we just go to where this bottom is, scroll out, we sort of made higher highs, higher lows. We then came out and broke the liquidity up here. And since then, higher high. As you take liquidity, you've got to create it back. Take liquidity, got to create it back. Take the liquidity. We came down to sweep all of this on the inside leg, okay? Come all the way down, equal lows to the bottom of here, and then we did that other little bull run here where we ended up taking this liquidity here, and as we pushed higher, we've been leaving footprints of imbalance. So I do think we're going to mess around on the top here and then maybe come back down to these areas later in the week. We'll come out of this. Right, so the euro odds, we'll take a little look at this one. Euro odd, again, you can see in October, there was a gap we came and filled that. We swept it. Okay, we swept and took the liquidity. As we've done that and swept there, we left behind fair value. We've mitigated through that. Not only that, we've actually come back down into a bit of an order block here and swept into this. As it's done that, as it's taken the liquidity residing from this up to here, okay, it's come back down to sweep and take the liquidity footprints it left behind for that to sort of take out the liquidity high. As you take the liquidity, it comes back and makes its own, okay? We come back up and we can see that it actually took this liquidity, and as it done that, it came back down to create more or less a double bottom, so to speak. It's a little bit of an incline. But when we look to the left-hand side, we've got fair value here. We've got fair value on the top of here. We've more or less got double tops on this area. So at the moment, we are more so sideways at this time. So we're either going to come down and sweep and then go up, or I think we are going to be consolidating along, come up with a huge news spike, touch on this, and then we might slam dunk back down. Looking at this overall, we can see we have hugely been basically sideways for a long time, from round about April again up to the tippy top of here. Obviously, you're going to have order blocks and liquidity up to the buy side, but I think we're going to be more or less sideways on this for quite some time as well, to be fair. Okay, I mean, you've got a lot of draw liquidity up on the top end, but we've been pretty much sideways for this for a little bit of time, to be honest. All right, Euro cards, we'll take a look at this. Pretty much the same sideways. I don't think there's any point in going over this much other than you've got liquidity there, which was taken out here. Okay, we swept, as you come down and sweep through the liquidity, it's all of this that needs to be taken out. So we can see it took out this, it pulled up, and then it came back. Okay, just above where it stalled, there is double tops here. Again, that got taken out on the liquidity right here. Okay, you can see this took out and swept this tippy top here. We do have fair value mined up on this top end as well. So even if we push above on here, we've got fair value above the bear zone. What it's left behind at the moment is we've got bottoms here. At the minute, we are drawing into fair value here, and it's mitigating that very, very nicely. To the buy side, again, if I come right in, we can see when we talk about fair value, you've got this wick to this here. This is tapped into that nicely. Okay, you can see we've tapped into that, which is why we're getting a reaction right now from here to tap into this bit. So when we're looking at this, we've been pretty much from here, we've been down, and this is like trying to go bearish since about the middle of October, to be fair. So we've got huge pools of liquidity on here. So if we do manage to push down through here, we are 100% going to tap into this bull zone, to be fair. Okay. And like I said, if you come onto your charts and practice doing this yourself, you'll start building up areas where you're seeing liquidity yourself as well, you know. So the Euro GBP, again, looking at this, we've got liquidity here. We have started pushing down. We're coming below these areas here. We're coming below these areas here. When we look at this, that was fair value. Okay, we tapped into it. We come down, we've mitigated fully through it. So again, at the moment, we'll look at the last sell before the buy. We've got order blocks right here. Okay. And I know I'm doing this pretty fast, guys, but like I say, you get used to where you're seeing these liquidity areas. To the left of that order block, you've also got liquidity residing here. Okay, so if we do come and sweep through here, again, looking to that left again, between the low to the high of the frame, we've got a possible order block here. So looking to the top end, there's not much price inefficiency other than what's being built here at the minute and what is also here. So we might find price could sort of come up, mess around, tap into these, maybe mess around a bit again, tap into the bottom and then come up, because overall what I can see from a bird's eye view is we have been sideways, okay, but we broke out of that sideways motion and we're trying to go higher. So there's a drawn liquidity to the sell side at the minute for me on this one. Just come down through this. Euro NZD, again, another one where we've been consolidating after a break and push through this area here. Okay, so we can see we've broken through that. What we've left behind from here is the fair value between that. It's trying to mitigate. It's done 50% of the mitigation. It has left behind this little bit underneath. From there, we've got the order blocks down on the bottom. But again, we are very much bullish, to be fair, when we look at this. Just look at this momentum. Again, that was a wick high, okay. We did get the push from here, and it's just been bullish after it obviously crossed this area. So when you take that liquidity, you've got to create. Take this liquidity, you've got to create. Take this liquidity, you've got to create. Now, you normally get 3 drives, so 1, 2, 3, and then you normally get an exhaustion, and that's what's happening right here at the moment. Again, when we look at the tippy top of this, we've got double tops happening here. So for me, we could be looking for a little bit of messing around, tap into this, come down another little bit of messing around, tap out this, break, retest, and I think we could start doing a cyclement of price. So like I say, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, messing around, create its own pools of liquidity up on here on the top end, and then we'll get a break and a retest. I think we'll start coming back down the other side of the mountain and attacking all of these liquidities that has been forming for when we've made higher highs. Pullback is the creation of liquidity. Another higher high, pullback is another liquidity creation, because when you start coming down the other side of the mountain, this is what you're grabbing on the way back down, if that makes sense. So again, we'll just get rid of this. Right, so Euro USD, again, what we're looking at in here, we have been pretty much pushing up. We've been a little bit sideways, to be fair. Looking to the left, we can see we've been sweeping down, and as we took out this, we came back up, failed to take that high, so we've been pretty much bearish. We know this because we've been coming down the other side of the mountain, like I say, creating lower lows and then making lower highs on the way down. Okay, so we're stuck between a couple of points, this range to this range. Yes, we've got higher end supply and demands, but as you come up the mountain, obviously you are taking this liquidity out here. It took this liquidity here, then it's created it. Okay, it's took this liquidity out here, then it's created it. So between these ranges at the minute, what we see is price inefficiency here. It's tapped into it, in all fairness, by about 50%. It's left a little bit behind. So I do think, because we are starting to come down this other side of this mountain top as it's been pushing up here, okay, slowly pulling down through this and creating that channel. Okay, I think we're going to start coming down in here, and when we look to this left-hand side, we can clearly see fair value here, massive draw on liquidity. It's trying to tap into it. It's tapped into it by the 50%, which is the medium. It's left a little bit on the table there where I think we'll get a reaction point from. So we're either going to come in, mess around, tap up into this, tap into this, maybe fake out, and that we're either going to go back up to the buy side to start getting these lower highs, where when we've been taking out the lower lows, the creation is the lower highs. So it's creating the steps to go back up the other side of that cycle. Okay, so again, we come out through this. The GBP odds, what we can see here is, this one goes right the way back, and I'm not going to go all the way back on that. Just like this here has been consolidating a bit along this range. We've broken out the highs. Okay, this is swept up here. So what I can see, what's been left behind is a footprint of a fair value here. Okay, we do have a gap up on here, so I do think we're starting to go a little bit bullish now, because we're making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. Sweeping out of this, okay, it has swept, and I do think we're going to sort of mess around a little bit, tap into this, and then continue to this buy side to then maybe come down. Because when we look at this, it's slowly been consolidating. Okay, slowly been consolidating. It's swept below these areas to take this liquidity low. Had a little bit of mess around, but I think we're going to start climbing back up to the buy side on this one, to be fair. All right, so CAD Swiss franc. Another big one. What we've got here is liquidity residing here. Then again, liquidity residing there. It's trying to come back up to the mountainside where there's a lot of pool here. We can see on this, get this damn square on, we can see fair value here. So loads of liquidity and stops on here, and we've got some up on here. We look to the sell side. We've came and tapped into that. We reduce it down a bit. We've even got some just below that as well, right here. So for me, we've been pretty much bearish at this moment in time. Price is sort of stuck sideways. So I think we may come and see some grabs of price. If we don't tap into this first, we will see some grabs of liquidity up on this end here. Whether or not it's going to push break through that and then go back higher is another thing. So we may come down into this area first, but ultimately this will want to drive back up towards the bullish side of the price. And that's what I see on that one. And again, this is just a basic, what I see on the eye based upon a 4 hour. Okay. Again, this one straight away consolidating. Okay. What's above that consolidation zone? Well, we can see fair value. Okay. So again, we could get this sneak its head as it's doing this, sneak its head out and then want to come down. If it does then want to come down, you're going to be looking at sort of double bottoms. This is the last point of true mitigation. Again, to the buy side, what you're looking at is a further fair value gap as well, which is here. So there's a big draw liquidity at the moment on this to the buy side, to be fair, because it's pushed down massively and it's took out all of this liquidity here. So where this has dropped here, it's took out this bit here, okay? We can see where the fair value was here, okay? It's tapped into it. We make this a little bit shorter, pull this along. It's took out of all of that and it's swept down here. So on the sell side, there's very little of this left of liquidity-wise for it to take. So there's a bigger draw on liquidity up to the upside here, to be fair. So we may get taps up into the upside. And then if we start pulling back down and it starts taking liquidity that it's made as it's created coming back up into here, we may even see price come back down, sweep through this, okay, do a break retest, then may want to come down lower as well. So that's the G card. Again, you need to keep active and see what's in the news as well, to be fair, to keep your eye on the price. We'll just do this. GJ, again, very, very tight. There's not much in this one, to be fair. We've been pretty much sideways. We've broken out of the liquidity over here. As we've broken out, we make higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. In the middle of making higher lows. I do think we'll probably tap up into this. Very, very simple. And I think we'll start coming back down to here, to be fair, on that one. So that one's short and sweet. GN, again, that's going to be the similar sort of thing. Again, we starting to come out of these here areas here. We've made higher highs, now higher lows. We've made them higher lows because we had fair value here. It swept into it and tapped into this. And now it's gone back onto the buy side of it. It's trying to take the liquidity high here. It's took the liquidity high here. We do have a bit of an order block here. Okay. And it's left behind, very, very subtle. It's left behind a fair value gap here. It's tapped into that. There is no fair value here because, again, when we look at that, that was the fair value. It's tapped it and it's swept. So for me, this one is going to continue to these buy sides. And then we might see a little bit of a mess around, maybe a sweep, and then we might come back down to attack these lower ends. Bird's eye picture view, we can see pretty much sideways, okay, from April. We then did a drive push. We've then come down and took out liquidity here and then liquidity here and swept maybe into an order block on this bit here, and then it's tried to go on that little bit of a bull run to the buy side. So we may continue up into that, take a sweep up here on that buy side, and then we might sort of pull back down on a little bit of a crash, to be fair. So again, with keeping these zones protected, I'm not going to go back too much. The GBP USD, pretty similar on this one as well. What we've got here on the low end, we've got liquidity residing underneath here. There's not much of a footprint on this one, to be fair, because the price efficiency as it's come down is pretty strong, to be fair. So again, I think this one could be sideways motion for a bit. So that's the GU. The NZD card, again, looking at this, you can see massively, which has been since, what, September, pushing right the way down. Bearish. We've got fair value gap to the buy side. We're continuing to make higher highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, taking liquidity each step as we go down, and then each time as we pull back, we are creating lower highs, then obviously come back to tap into. Will we come and get a tap into this for it to continue down? I think this one's going to stay bearish, but in the meantime, obviously we're failing to take these lower highs out. So I think between what we're seeing at the minute, this here and this here, we're just going to create an inside lower, lower, lower high situation. And I think we're going to come down to this bull zone eventually at some point. Okay, so NZDJPY, the last few on these. Again, looking at what we see, we're seeing a funky candle here. Again, it's at 10 o'clock on the other night. We've got liquidity double bottomed here. Underneath that, we don't really have any price inefficiency other than the slightest bit of fair value here. Overall, we've been pretty bearish, okay, for some time. We've then come and swept out through this area here, trying to go bullish, but then we've just been consolidating along the way. So this one's a bit like a coiled spring at the moment. We're just going to continue sideways from what I can see. So there's not much to look at from that aspect. Okay, that's the NZDJPY. NZD bearishness at the minute. We can see very much so bearish, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. We've been leaving behind a footprint of fair value here. We've got fair value inside of here at the minute, but it's mitigating into that nicely. So again, I think on this one, we might see a little bit of messing around, tap into this, but then we're just going to continue lower, 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 high, lower, 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 high. Last point of true mitigation, will we then get the push up to then go back on the cyclement of price where price has been bearish? Will this be the turning point for this to start attacking everything on the buy side? Okay, we'll just have to wait and see. USD Swiss franc, again, sideways motion. There's not really much to talk about this one. I've gone a little bit easy on the bull zone on this one. I think if there's an opportunity where this one will be a violation, we could get a retest, break structure back in, and then we could come and attack. We could come and attack all this liquidity on the sell side, to be fair, because like I say, it's not the best at the minute. We have been bearish, and then after we come bearish, we started going into a sideways motion. So for me, we're stuck between a rock and a hard place on that one. We've got USD cards. We'll take a look at USD card. Another one. We're being very, very bullish. Okay, so bullish here. We've tried to come down, take out liquidity, which was residing here. It done that. After it done that, it went on a little bit of a bullish run. Higher highs, high lows, higher highs, high lows, higher highs. Okay, taking out that liquidity there. Okay, so you can see high highs and high lows. We've come down, double bottomed right here, swept, tried to push, swept again. To the sell side, we do have fair value, which it's tapped into. So there's a draw on liquidity to the sell side. We are failing at the minute to take out the tippy top. Okay, we're trying to push up into this. We can see on this price right here, right now, it's wicked, stalled, and then wicked again into here. So for me, I think we could go bullish, to be fair, because we're pretty much standard with this. You just need to look at the price of that. Just look at that. That's from July, you know. So for me, bullishness on this. We could get a little bit of mess around, tap into this. We may even get a breakthrough here and into a fair value, but I think ultimately we're looking for the bulls to continue with this one. Okay, and then finally, We're looking at the USD JPY again, bullish. I don't need to do much on this one. We are bullish, but we've got to take note, the USD JPY, that the US government has opened back up. We do have a massive gap down here that needs to be fulfilled. We've just made higher highs, higher lows. Okay, we took out here. As you take liquidity, remember what I say. You take liquidity, you've got to create it. And when you create it, that's there for when you're coming back down the other side of the mountain. Okay, so again, liquidity taken here. Correction is where we pulled back. So that created the 4-hour bull zone. For me, what we're seeing at the minute on this as well, you've got fair value right here, okay? You've got fair value right there. It's starting to tap into this. So I think some messing around, maybe a sweep, maybe. But I think ultimately, depending on what goes on with the US and obviously Trump, you can never tell. One day he opens his mouth about tariffs and it's all good for the US dollar. It starts smashing it. And then all of a sudden he backtracks on what he says. And then what happens is price will start coming back down into these areas where we've got heavy consolidation, you know. And that's all to do when he starts to open his mouth or tweets or whatever, okay? So that's what I see on the US JPY. We'll just come out of this. And that's it, guys. That's it for this week's Where is the Liquidity? What do I see? I just thrashed through them, to be fair. Like I say, I only want to see on the eye where we are on the 4-hour. I don't need to go and see where I'm at on the 1 hour, the 15-minute, or the 5 minutes. I'm just interested purely on the 4-hour concept, because where my traps are on the supply and demand or the bull and bear zones, I'll see where the liquidity is on the 4-hour and then see where the draw is. And then I can sort of put myself in the position of this is where I expect it to go to get the reaction. Okay. Let me know what you think. If you're enjoying these videos, I'll continue to do them. I'll see you all on the next one, guys. We'll see you inside the Discord. If you're not inside the Discord and you've seen this, because I will post this video elsewhere, if you're interested to come and join what we do, just reach out to me and I'll let you know what we do. Okay, see you later.